Hi, I'm Justin Boyd.
Hi, I'm George Luna.
I'm Brittany Pacheco.
And I'm the lone token black dude, Lord Servant from Game of Thrones.
And we are the Watchers in the Basement.
Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. We are here today to talk about Game of Thrones. We're back. We're back in Westeros. We're talking about House of the Dragon, the prequel series that is set about 200 years before Game of Thrones. It tells the story of the rise of House Targaryen, or maybe the fall, actually, of House Targaryen. The season premiere was last night, August 21st. And here we are today to talk about the first episode, which is titled The Heirs of the Dragon. Before we talk about the episode, what do y'all think about having Game of Thrones back in your life to talk about? Brittany, tell us what you think.
I've been on the fence about it for a little bit just because the disappointment that was season 8 of Game of Thrones. I think it's safe to say that we all we're obviously so invested in it. That's why we made this podcast. That's why it's named what it's named. And season 8 just kind of brought that disappointment amongst us all. George, I think, will even deny ever having heard of Game of Thrones. But the fact that we have this prequel, it's focusing on a family that for one, I always love the Targaryens. I think Daenerys was a badass. And the little nods here and there that we got in this first episode was really amazing. And I'm ready to get hurt all over again. So let's do this. George, what are your thoughts?
First off, I'm just going to say I'm excited to do this show again because this is the whole reason we started doing this. And I'm just taking it as we're starting all over with a brand new show because, I mean, this is a brand new show to me. But I'm glad it's set in the times before Game of Thrones, and maybe I just pray that this is going to be so much better than how it ends, or I don't know if they even said how long it's going to be, but so far, first episode was solid. I don't have any complaints to pick at, and y'all know me, I complain about everything, so I'm excited to see where this goes. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Frank. Yeah. So I'm excited to see where it goes. I do have some questions for y'all that I'll ask as we go along.
Frank, what do you think? Did you miss Game of Thrones? Are you glad it's back in your life?
Hell yeah, man! It's been 3.5 years, almost 4 years since the finale of season X. It's been I've reread the books 3 times already. I've had withdrawals, just I have the Atlas book of all the different kingdoms and Targaryen kings and queens. So for this to come back, I'm happy. It was a great first episode. Though I must say this: the Game of Thrones or the Game of Thrones lore is the only piece of art or writing material or show that normalize incest fucking like no other. It's amazing to me. I remember the first episode of Game of Thrones, the original series, and watching Cersei and Jaime go at it, and just being what the fuck is going on? By season 3, I was immune to it. Oh, they're just fucking. They're brothers. It's their sisters. Oh, first cousins. Hey, at least it's not brother and sister. They normalize it it's not dude. That's her. I think the king. That's his first cousin. So I'm seeing that oh, it's not too bad. At least it's not his sister. So it's cool now. It's crazy to me how we normalize incest fucking. It's just crazy. That's what I got from the show. So yeah.
Okay.
What?
Well, I'll try to transition. So you mentioned reading the book. So this series, House of the Dragon, is based off of George R.R. Martin's Fire and Blood series. Now, Frank, have you read that?
I did 4 years ago. I don't remember anything from the books because I was so dead because it came out around season, I want to say around season 5 or 6 of Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. So I don't remember most of it. I read the Duncan Egg series as well. I don't remember any of it. So and I told myself when the show started, I'm not gonna go back and reread all that shit. I want to be surprised. And
well, yeah, because then you're gonna spoil the show for yourself.
Yeah, so I don't remember any of it. I remember there's a war. That's all I remember. I don't remember who won. I don't remember anything. So yeah.
Yeah, I think Fire and Blood is just a one-off book, but it does solely focus on the Targaryen family, and I think
Right.
that even takes place 300 years before the times of Game of Thrones. This show takes place at least 172 years before Daenerys Targaryen's birth and the death of the Mad King. So
Right.
And there's a war history book too. It's a big orange book that covers.
I have that book.
Yeah, so that story is in that book.
Mhm.
But and I read that book like 7 years ago. I don't remember anything from it. It's like every single king and queen dating from not just from Westeros, but even like the Warnar and like Essos as well. So I don't remember any of that shit.
I mean, the one good thing about this show is that this book does have an ending, correct? So, like, unlike Game of Thrones, where while George should have, and I'm not talking about our George, but where George R.R. Martin, not George R.R. Luna, George R.R. Martin, while he
Damn
was
you,
writing-
George.
Yeah, while he was writing Fire and Blood, like Frank said during season 4 or 5 of Game of Thrones, he should have been finishing Game of Thrones, which, by the way, he still has not finished. But the one perk is that this does have an ending to it, and he is one of the showrunners. He's one of the executive producers, along with Miguel Sapochnik, who directed this episode, who directed many of the big episodes in Game of Thrones, and Ryan Condal is the writer / showrunner, also, who's an executive producer. So it sounds like the show has George's blessing, obviously, because he's like working on it. So, and our George also his blessing too so far. So we're off to a good start. So let's get into it. What did y'all think about the first episode? Brittany, lead off for us.
So I told y'all in our chat prior to the show starting was that I was praying to the old gods and the new that this show was not going to suck. And I am happy to say that this first episode did not suck. It brought back that style of Game of Thrones that we all first fell in love with. I mean, minus the White Walkers, of course, but you've got politics, you've got incest for Frank. We've got dragons. We've got
wait. Was there incest?
Yeah. Wait, what?
Yeah,
no, you know what I'm saying. The families are incestual.
Okay, real quick though,
the king,
so
the pregnant wife, that's his cousin.
That's his cousin. Yes,
I didn't know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll
I need
get
like
into that.
23andMe when I'm watching this show. Like it's hard to keep up with.
Basically.
Exactly.
I'm just trying to remember the names, and they have similar names too. So go ahead, Brittany.
Well, the king's wife, she's actually an Aaron. So like from the Vale, the House Aaron. But
Well,
yes,
her mother
she is. Go ahead.
Yeah, her mother is from Jarhears, from the Jarhears Targaryen line. So she's half Targaryen.
Yeah, she's a Targaryen, but like Frank said, that Viserys and Emma are first cousins, but they're married to one another, obviously, and then their child is their child, and et cetera, et cetera. So you've got it all. Like I said, you're going back to that original Game of Thrones storyline that we all just became very accustomed to, and for me, and I'm sure y'all feel the same way, there's a lot of hints, and you kind of relate some of these characters to past characters of Game of Thrones. And so it's kind of exciting because you want to see obviously how the story develops, but then you're also curious as to how much backstabbing there's going to be in this storyline. And I'm just going to say it off the top. Otto Hightower, which is played by, and I can never pronounce his name, it's a very Irish name, I think. Rhys.
No, it's Rhys Ifans.
Rhys Ifans.
Yeah.
Absolutely love him as an actor. I think he's a phenomenal actor. But I'm going to say right now, his character, Otto Hightower, who is the hand to the king, is basically Littlefinger. I'm calling it now. He's basically Littlefinger. Just
I get those
little
vibes
hints
from him.
Yeah, just those little hints here and there. But this episode started off real solid, and I think having to lay out that precursor about the Great Council, which is kind of funny because the end of Game of Thrones was with a council to name a new king. We're starting off this show with naming a new heir. So, like I said, little hints here and there of Game of Thrones. And I think it was just extremely well done. I love the casting so far, and we'll talk a little bit more about each, character and their respected actor and actress. But I think for so much anticipation, because I think we all obviously have anticipated for this show, I think it's off to a really solid, good start. And I think probably one of my favorite characters is going to be Daemon Targaryen, played by Matt Smith. So I'm going to toss it over to the rest of you guys because I can keep talking. George, your thoughts on the first episode?
Okay, so before we get into the first episode, I kind of want to clear this out because I don't understand this. Frank, you've read the books. Maybe you've read the book once. Maybe you can answer this question. So it was my understanding that like there has never been a queen, right, that ruled until Cersei. Is that right?
Technically, no.
Really?
Technically, no.
Okay.
Nymeria, when she came from the Rhoynar, she came over, and her and people came over to Dorne, and she became the first ever female queen or female leader of Westeros. Even though this predates Aegon coming to Westeros and conquering and the kingdoms, but Nymeria was the first ever queen of the land pre Targaryen rule. So like I don't know if you remember in Game of Thrones, Arya's wolf is named Nymeria.
I remember that.
In honor of Nymeria, the queen. Yeah, and she's referenced as well in this episode too.
That's why the whole reason I say that is because I was like, well, that kind of is that like a spoiler, like that this new character is not going to become queen, because like that's the assumption I had in my head, that no one was queen until like Cersei.
No, I think the difference being is that there has never been a queen to sit on the Iron Throne, because Nymeria is the predecessor to Aegon. So that's the difference. Aegon and his dragon formed the Iron Throne.
So
and then
Cersei
no
was
woman,
the first queen to sit.
She was the first queen to sit on the Iron Throne. Yes, exactly.
So
but not to be queen.
What does that leave to this show? Like, does Daemon like win? Like, can we assume that, or is are they gonna?
Yeah, I don't want to say anything about that either.
I'm just assuming, like, it's like I'm assuming that she's not gonna be able to get the throne because of what happens in the future. That was my only like question or concern.
Yeah, but there's so many other storylines that circle around the Iron Throne outside of her just trying to get the Iron Throne. Like, you have Daemon. What do you do with Daemon? You have Dorne in the fold now. I'm not even sure Dorne's even part of the Seven Kingdoms yet, because in history, Dorne was an independent nation for a long time. So I'm not sure if they're even part of the Seven Kingdoms right now. It might be just Six Kingdoms. So there's so many other storylines that circle around this Targaryen rule. Otto Hightower and his daughter played a huge part too. That
was a weird interaction between them, dude. Like when he told his daughter to go to the room, it felt like he was pimping out his daughter.
He totally was.
That was very weird.
You'll be right to say so. Yeah.
That's creepy.
Yeah, especially with the fact that Alicent is Rhaenyra's best friend, it seems. They're these two teenage girls, and
they definitely have like a more than friends.
I don't know. It just seems like they have a vibe. Like I don't know. They like each other.
Yeah, more than. It seems like from Rhaenyra's side of it.
I was gonna say maybe, but it's not reciprocated.
I don't think Alicent is all. Yeah, I don't think she's.
Give it time.
Give it time.
Yeah. Frank, continue with all this.
Yeah, Frank, what are your overall thoughts on the first episode?
I mean, I thought it was perfect. I think for people who are disappointed, like, oh my God, it's not as good as the first episode of Game of Thrones, the original series. Like, you're not gonna come at the gates 100 miles an hour. You gotta build shit up. You know what I'm saying? You still gotta get to know the characters. There are houses here we never seen before, like House Targaryen, like House Hightower. You know what I'm saying? Like House Youngwood. Like, there's so many other houses that play a part in this series, and to see this play out, I can't wait. And it's actually kind of cool to see the Targaryens have like a stabilized, for the most part, succession from Jaehaerys, the old king, who sat for 55 years now, to the king now, and seeing what's going on with that. But I thought the storyline starting out was great. The building blocks. Seeing Westeros in that, or seeing King Landing in this time space is interesting to me. The Iron Throne even looked different. Like, all the different swords, like leading up to the chair, like
dude, that was badass. Like, that looks so cool, like aesthetically.
Yeah,
it looked intimidating AF.
Clearly, it's a hazard though. Clearly, The
Yeah,
guy
like-
keeps stabbing himself with the fucking chair.
Cutting himself with his damn chair. Like, dude, fucking get a new chair or put all the
Right.
swords behind the fucking chair. Like, but just seeing all these different landing spots and different areas that we saw.
The dragon pit.
Huh?
The dragon
Yeah.
pit.
Yeah, the dragon pit. Yeah. And
The fact that it was
dragons.
the dragons. Yes,
Yeah.
we started off after the Great Council with being in the skies and flying with Rhaenyra on her dragon Syrinx, and the fact that there are dragon keepers at the dragon pit, and the dragon pit is not in ruins. You know, like that was really cool. And just a little background real quick with the narration of this episode, it begins kind of like Lord of the Rings, and you get that little brief of the Targaryens have been in power for over 100 years, and they have 10 fully grown dragons in their yoke. Like, in other words, you can't fuck with these people. Like, no one in their right mind would ever challenge the reign of a Targaryen. And the fact that the statement of the King Jaehaerys knew that the only thing that was going to destroy this family was themselves, which is pretty much very true, not just with the Targaryens, but with all the families in Westeros, and then Westeros as a whole. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of different things that, not different, but you're seeing King's Landing from a different perspective when it was prosperous, when it was in a time of peace, if you will. And it's not dirty. It doesn't look bad.
We're seeing a lot of familiar places, but we're seeing new faces there. You know, there's new characters for us to learn. And I think that, you know, let's just start out with, let's go through some of our favorite characters in the show. Brittany, who's your favorite character that's so far after the first episode?
So I mentioned already about Daemon Targaryen, played by Matt Smith. Now, everyone's like a huge Matt Smith fan because he played one of the doctors in Doctor Who. I've never watched Doctor Who. Not like saying there's no hate or anything. It's just not my cup of tea. However,
he was the podiatrist on Doctor. I'm kidding. Not good.
Oh my God.
Different doctor.
Justin Boyd, folks. Subscribe to our channel if you want to hear more of this, because, you know, he's great at that. Anyway, so Matt Smith is Daemon Targaryen. And let me just say, he plays a damn good prince with a dark side. Like, you know, he's not Joffrey. I don't think at this point. I think he actually genuinely cares about people. I think he definitely cares about Rhaenyra, and in a very weird way, probably cares about his brother Viserys. But there's a darkness to him. And there's that sense of power behind him, the power that he craves, he just doesn't have yet. I think he's going to be probably my favorite character. I do adore Millie Alcock, sorry, can't say her name, who plays the young Rhaenyra Targaryen. I say young because we will see a different Rhaenyra in the future. However, I definitely will have to go with Matt Smith as Daemon Targaryen for right now. What about you, George?
Yeah, I agree. I love Matt Smith as an actor ever since Doctor Who, and I did watch Doctor Who, and when he was on it, he's a great actor. I'm excited to see what he does in this role. It's definitely something different for him. So, but I know he can hit like all those emotions, and like that the acting range is going to be put to the test and with this character. So he's my favorite character as of now.
And it seems like he's kind of set up to be like the villain, but I don't know that he necessarily is a villain. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, I don't know. I guess it's like a on your perspective, right? Like,
right.
It's like he's trying to cleanse the city. Maybe it's not the best way of going about it, but hey, people might not want to do things anymore.
But it is very Game of Thronesy, where you have like Otto Hightower, who is very much like Baelish. You can tell he's the hand of the king, but he's the first person to find out all the information. And obviously he's at odds with Daemon Targaryen. He does not want Daemon to be the heir to Viserys. It's pretty interesting. I mean, I got to say, like, you know, this series is supposedly only going to be about the Targaryens. I mean, yeah, there's going to be other houses and other, you know, from other families, other characters going to be involved, but this is, you know, basically a Targaryen story. And, you know, we're getting, like Brittany, you mentioned the daughter who is Rhaenyra Targaryen, which we saw the younger version. There's going to be a time jump at some point in the series, maybe the next episode, where we're going to have another actress play Rhaenyra, and we're going to have another
Really?
actress play Alicent. Yeah, there's two different people who play these characters.
Oh, okay.
So that's going to be interesting, I think, because Game of Thrones didn't do that. We had a couple of flashbacks later in the series, but nothing to that kind of degree. They were kind of very straightforward with how they told their story. Whereas this, I think there's going to be some jumping back and forth, because if you watch like the trailer and like what's coming up next on the show, there are still a lot of scenes with Millie Alcock as Rhaenyra that they show us in the trailer, or in these coming in the next week. So that's going to be interesting, I think, to see like when they make the time jump. Will the time jump be like a back and forth thing in the episode, or is it just going to be like at five episodes in? Are we just going to go like from the young Alicent and the young Rhaenyra to the older, which they're only probably like 10 years older, I think, because they're both, the actresses who play the older versions are, like I said, maybe 10, probably less than that in real life, age wise, but maybe 10 years. What do you think, Frank?
I'm so nervous about that. One of my favorite shows was Vikings, and Vikings did a similar thing. Like after season 1, they time jumped 10 years. And then after season 3, they timed it another 15 years. It was just like, you skipped a lot of story content doing that. And it lost me. I mean, I don't know how the show did after season 3, but it lost me, because a lot of the characters I enjoyed watching at that time, at that point, were great actors. And like, they totally changed them with like older actors that weren't as good. And so I'm hoping that the time jumps aren't just so random and multiple time jumps. I hope it's just like a 5-year time jump here and there, just to like show progression or whatever, and like keep it there, and like let's enjoy like these actors and actresses for who they are.
But it's only her character that does that, right?
Alicent also. The Alicent Hightower.
Okay.
Yeah, there's two different actresses.
So just the girls?
Yeah, just those two characters that I know of. Although, if you watch like the coming in the next weeks, the actor who plays Sir the Knight Cole, what's his name? Sir Kristen Cole. Like in the time jump, when they show the new Alicent, or the older Alicent, it looks like there's a knight next to her, and I think it's supposed to be this Kristen Cole guy, and he looks different. So maybe that actor is also someone who has that character has multiple actors. But I don't know. I'm really interested to see how they do that and when they do that, because that, Frank, you're right. That could be an issue, I think. Because you're right. Like, what if, so far this Rhaenyra that we've met seems pretty good, as far as an actress. Hopefully Emma Darcy, who plays the older version, is of the same level or better. And she probably is. I mean, look, this is Game of Thrones. Like, we never had a problem with the acting in Game of Thrones, right? It was never the acting,
No.
It's never the budget. It always looks amazing. It's just the fact that they didn't have an end to the story, and they just decided to wrap it up because they were tired of it for whatever reason.
And they totally destroyed Jaime Lannister's character arc. Like, okay, not going to get into that. We're not talking about Game of Thrones. We're talking about House of the Dragon.
But the quality that HBO, I mean, honestly, for everything HBO does, but especially Game of Thrones, the quality is so high that I think all these actors are going to be phenomenal in whatever roles they're playing. It's just, I wonder when that time jump is going to happen, because it does seem like for Rhaenyra being like, I mean, in the first episode, she's arguably the main character of the show.
Mm-hmm.
To then, like, in the next episode, age that character up. That's a bold move. So we'll see.
There's probably going to be back and forth, but I just hope they don't do too much of it, because then it's just going to start getting like really
confusing. Like the fucking
confusing.
Witcher.
Oh, don't even get me started on The Witcher. That was like 3 different time jumps.
Again, The Witcher. I mean, The Witcher's okay, but the quality level is,
I just mean like the timeline thing. That's what fucked me up. I was so confused.
I
hope
was
they
really
just explain it a lot better and just.
I don't think that Game of Thrones will make it that confusing. I think it'll be easier to understand. It just maybe a little strange for those of us who followed it the whole time.
So something I would like to talk about with y'all, and Frank, I think out of all of us has probably the most knowledge about Game of Thrones and House of Dragon, anything of this nature. But the fact that during this great council that there were 2 legitimate heirs, if you will, that were contending for the title. One of which was the eldest daughter to the eldest son of King Jaehaerys, and that was the Princess Rhaenys. And she was completely overlooked because of the fact that she's a woman. The line of succession usually goes to a male heir, correct? So before talking about Daemon Targaryen, how, you know, you kind of might want to set him up to be the villain, but could it be possible that Princess Rhaenys is the villain that we all need to watch out for, specifically for Princess Rhaenyra, who at the end of this episode was named heir apparent with the conclusion. So, Frank, I'm going to turn to you for this real quick. With Princess Rhaenys, the fact that she was overlooked and now she's being overlooked again by a younger female relative, what are your thoughts about Princess Rhaenys being a villain?
I mean, it's quite possible. I mean, to be overlooked twice in one lifetime for a family stronghold for the throne is downright disrespectful because of your genealogy, because you're a woman. And that's the beauty about this show, is that anybody who's vying for the throne can be viewed as a villain, just depending on what your perspective, right?
Yeah, and I think before we go, sorry, Frank, let me jump in real quick.
Yeah.
I said villain earlier. I think I misspoke. Like, honestly, like for Game of Thrones, they're all vying for power. So I think the way they set up Daemon, he's like the, you know, he's a dragon rider. He's a badass. Like, it looks like, you know, he's with the gold cloaks and this city watch, and he's just like, you know, kind of pillaging the city or whatever. It's meant to make him look like he's like going to take over like authoritarian style. But like I said, Otto Hightower is not a hero by any stretch. And I don't think that Rhaenys or Rhaenyra, how you say her name? Rhaenyra? Yeah, okay. Rhaenys. I'm sorry, Rhaenys. I don't think she's a hero either. So that's it. Frank, go ahead and take back over.
Yeah, no, I was saying, like, for anybody who's vying for power for that throne could be viewed as a bad guy or whatever. I guess it just depends on your perspective on the character and who's pushing for that character to get on the throne. It's funny, like one of the scenes in the council meetings, Lord Kerwin, is it Sir or Kerwin? The black dude with the dreads.
Oh, that's
Corlys.
Corlys.
It's he's known as the sea snake. It's Corlys. What's his last name?
Valerian.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're married. Princess Rhaenys is married to him.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you know, those like a slow side jab. Like he first vied for Daemon and then came back and said, well, you know, my wife is technically a Targaryen too.
Right.
So it really depends on each person's support system and how they're viewed. And a little did you know fact, Valerian is actually a distant relative of the Targaryens. They're part of the two families that left Valyrian right before the Doom. So they play,
and thus the incest continues.
Yeah. So it's kind of like Karstark and Stark. They have the same bloodline for the most part, just as the Targaryens were higher born. But no, I mean, I think Rhaenys has a legitimate claim. There are no male heirs right now. So I mean, she has a good point. You know?
And then she has children, and she has a son and a daughter, I believe. So
correct.
One of those or both would be heirs also, and that's what Corlys says in that council meeting. He said not only is she a Targaryen, but then she has heirs also. So
yeah, there's Targaryen with Valerian blood. So they have, you know, they're Targaryen, Valerian, the same. So like they have strong claims too if they listen. But I think what's so beautiful about this show is that when you watch episode 1, it puts women in their place. Unfortunately, like I don't know. We're gonna talk about like the pregnancy scene with
We're talking about it all, Frank.
Yeah. So even with that, like if you look at current times now with the abortion laws now and how things are outlawed and you can't get an abortion, the one woman that was carrying a child had no say about whether or not she wanted to keep the child or her life. Like she had no say at all, which was so fucked up. And like and this is the queen of the 7 kingdoms, and for that choice to be taken out of her hands just gives you a constant reminder about how little women are thought, nothing more of just birthing vessels and women laid out with. Like
that's their battlefield.
Yeah, that's a battlefield. Rhaenyra she's the firstborn. She's the princess of the 7 kingdoms or 6 kingdoms at the time. And she's a fucking cupbearer. Think about that. She's a cupbearer, bro. That's wild to me. You know, and most cupbearers are like either squires or like bastards. She's the princess of the 7 kingdoms, and she's a cupbearer. So that just shows you how little they think about women's worth in this series.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah. Obviously I draw issue with just how women are treated in general. But definitely this is all very true for medieval times, you know, with women, their only purpose was to bring children into the world, especially if you're a queen consort, as Emma was, you needed to bring a male heir. It all focused on the women, had nothing to do with the men. And the fact that you're right, Frank, it was put onto the king to make the decision about, do we save your heir or do we just let both of them die? Which unfortunately both of them ended up dying. However, women have had shitty roles in life, and not much has changed.
And that was a 5th pregnancy in 10 years.
Right.
She was pregnant every other fucking year.
Yeah, he used her. Like, yeah, it's fucked up.
Yeah, and she looks older as well. So she was up there in age, having what, 4 miscarriages or 5 miscarriages or whatever.
I think she said she had 2 miscarriages, 2 stillbirths, and then 1 that died in the cradle.
It's crazy to me, and to keep and for her not to have a say about this, like to like say, you know what, I'm chilling, man. Like let's find a different route.
But also for her to say to Viserys, whom let me say this about Viserys. I don't think he's a bad person per se. I think he's a kind king. I think he definitely loves his wife and loves Rhaenyra. It's not gonna be a good quality for your kings to last. Let's just be real, because this is Game of Thrones world. However, for Emma to say to her husband, you know, I have failed you in giving you an heir, like that's mind-boggling. The fact that there's so much pressure to say, I messed up, it's on me, it's not on you. Of course they didn't know any better, but the fact that like she's just of that mindset of, I couldn't do the one thing that I'm supposed to do, you know, biologically I have not been able to give you a male heir, and that's just fucked up.
And she tells him this is the last time. This will be the last pregnancy. She's not.
You go, girl.
Yeah.
Not that it really went anywhere, but
it was her last time.
It was the last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because as we see, as they juxtapose this with the jousting tournament, they show her trying to give birth, and
battlefield.
It's a pretty brutal scene. Yeah, you're right. Earlier in the episode, she tells Rhaenyra, she says, the discomfort is how we serve the realm. The childbed is our battlefield, like you said earlier, Brittany. And then you literally see that later on in the episode when she's having trouble giving birth, and the maester or whatever you want to call him, his name's Melos. He's got an idea for
genius idea, dude.
Yeah,
that was the most botched C-section I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, they stabbed her all the way down.
Right.
Like ripped her open. Like it was insane. I was like, oh,
like, how many cesareans have you seen, George? Good God.
I just know that they kept one line. That's it. Not like that. I wasn't expecting going like that. That's insane.
I mean, to be fair, this is medieval times. So like,
that's true, but still, I'd be like, man, fuck it. Let's just start with a little one, see if it works.
And he didn't, I mean, I'm sure he wasn't trained or experienced with doing such a procedure. And
clearly not.
Yeah, it was bad. I feel like for some people there should have been like maybe a trigger warning in a way.
People were upset about that. I read some reviews. They were not happy about that.
I feel like just with the whole scene in itself, because it's pretty graphic. Okay, let's just be real. Forewarning, y'all, for those who have not watched this episode and are listening to these spoilers, you do you, but be prepared to see quite a bit of blood.
I mean, it's Game of Thrones where everything's pretty graphic. You know what I mean? They don't really shy away from.
Yeah, but like the amount of blood that comes out of just like one person as a whole whole community of blood, like that's on a different level.
I'm glad they were cutting it back and forth between the other scene though, because if not, that would have been like I couldn't have handled like the entire scene just being that.
Yeah, it was pretty gruesome. I'm not gonna lie. So
so before the baby was removed from her body, I didn't think it was going to be a boy. Did y'all? What did y'all think? Did y'all know
I
it was
thought
going to be a boy?
he'd get a boy and it was gonna die. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I thought. And
Which is exactly what happens
yeah,
immediately. Like that. I mean,
that's
honestly,
karma, dude.
was the kid even alive? Because I
It's
rewatched
alive.
the episode,
Yes.
It
Yeah,
cried.
Right.
It cried.
but
It,
did
and it
y'all
was
notice?
gargling.
Right, but there's a scene where it's right after, whenever the Maester has the baby, and he tells Viserys, who seems kind of surprised, even though he felt for sure it was going to be a boy. He's like, "Oh, it's a boy," and he said yes. And then the Maester kind of looks down at the baby, and the baby's real quiet, and he kind of gives it a weird look. And then next scene, we're at the funeral. Like to me, it's
No,
like,
I mean, during that time, he's holding the baby, and the baby's kind of like gurgling and whatever. But it
Yeah.
sounds like it's choking on its
Yeah.
own.
That's what
right.
I
Like
thought.
Whatever.
I don't think it made it much longer than like that part, right? You know what I'm
No.
saying? Like it seems like the Maester knows this baby's not going to live.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
probably.
okay.
Probably. I mean, just the I would imagine the level of stress, not only that
Yeah.
Emma was under, that puts stress on the baby as well. And, there's just so many factors that go into it. So yeah, like George, I figured it was also going to be a boy, but the boy was not going to live for much longer than the scene that we were watching it. So yeah, it's sad. And Drew here, shout out to Drew, our friend in the North, big Game of Thrones fan as well, who has not watched this episode. So you do you, Drew. Yes, there's jousting going on during this horrendous birth because the tourney is being held in honor of the new heir that Viserys claims to be a boy. And Daemon Targaryen loves the sport, loves to compete, loves to win. And
I got a lot of questions though. I got questions about the tourney, the jousting tourney. What are the rules of jousting? Because as we see,
have you not watched A Knight's Tale?
So Daemon, he chooses one of the high towers as a direct shot at Otto. He looks at Otto. Well, then they go by the first pass through, and the guy hits Daemon. And the next time, Daemon just trips the horse before the horse. Like, is that legal? Like, I'm throwing if I'm Team Hightower, I'm throwing a challenge flag right there. Like, we're not.
Yeah, but who's going to challenge the Targaryen? Think about it.
Okay, so also like. Then like there's just like these dudes killing each other, and I'm like, I mean, are people getting buys? What kind of tournament is this? Like, what are we doing here?
I think that was legal. I think that was legal.
I've never seen like
that's not normal though. That's not normal. Jousting is just jousting.
You get knocked off the horse, you're eliminated.
No, but they can still continue with the sword. They can still do that.
I've never seen that in a movie.
One guy fell to the ground and another guy took an axe and just knocked his head off. Like that's not.
And then the squire in the background was like puking.
Yeah, that's not normal.
Well, that was brutal.
Normally they'll pull out swords and like they'll fight, to the death or to somebody says yield. But dudes are falling off the horse, getting decapitated as they hit the ground. Like come on, that was nuts. And again, that scene is so powerful because it shows the love of human violence in the world. Like you have kids in the stands watching this shit, cheering on. You have women, like people are just cheering this shit on like it's okay. Like the barbaric nature of like the world that we live in. Even today's time, like we love violence, you know what I'm saying, no matter what. And like it was just like, man, this is fucking nuts. People are like,
give me more.
Like give me they're cheering left and right.
Yeah.
Like, bam.
But Daemon, he bests the Otto Hightower guy, or Otto's one of the Hightowers, because he trips the horse. The guy falls off the horse because the horse falls down.
That's fucked up.
Then he goes over and he gets Alicent, who Alicent is Otto Hightower's daughter. He gets her like blessing or whatever. She puts her rose on the jousting stick or whatever. Yeah,
a little wreath. Yeah.
I mean, the guy is just straight up going for the Hightower dude. And then we see Daemon kind of like meet his match when he faces Sir Criston Cole.
Yeah.
And then we find out that after Criston Cole like defeats Daemon, which I didn't see that coming, and Daemon has to yield, although he never says yield, if you notice that.
No, he doesn't.
Criston Cole knows he can't.
Weapon.
Yeah, he knows he can't just like straight up kill Daemon
The
Targaryen,
prince.
right?
Why
because
not?
he's the prince, and
Because he's a prince.
He's got the gold cloaks, probably waiting to just come in and
Again,
kill
did you
everybody,
not
or-
watch A Knight's Tale?
I have not.
You know what? I've never seen it.
I haven't seen it either.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen it either.
Oh my gosh, Heath Ledger is in it. Y'all need to go watch it.
He's
Actually,
also
you know
in
what?
the
Robert.
Dark Knight, which is a
Oh my gosh.
I've seen that
better
one.
movie.
No, you know who else is in it? You know who else is in it? In all seriousness, Robert Baratheon. He's also in A Knight's Tale.
Mm.
Y'all need to go watch it.
Well, we have
Justin,
Baratheons
do
in
it.
this.
Justin, you got to do it now.
No, I'm not watching Knight's Tale.
No, I'm saying you got to do
No.
the Baratheon. impression.
Oh,
God, so is strong.
God, that was true. Robert Baratheon. Yeah. So we see a Baratheon though in this in the jousting. His name's
Who
like
are also related to Targaryens.
right.
Yeah.
See him.
Dude, I caught that.
We see Rickard Stark later in the episode, right?
Yeah.
Rickon.
Yeah, Rickon. Sorry.
You know, funny enough.
Their
he's
name
like-
they could be a little bit more creative with the names. I'm just saying they can mix it up.
I'm like, there's no
Yeah,
way
like-
Hayes is Ned's dad. Like, this is what the fuck? But it's like, oh,
yeah, it's like, you're like, yeah, Dick on. Okay.
Wait,
Um,
that's Ned's dad?
no.
no.
No, his name is Rickard. This
Oh.
is Rickon. Yeah,
So
I was
this is
Yeah.
great grandpa?
Right.
yeah,
Something like
great granddaddy. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Who, funny enough, is silver, white haired, or whatever, and he looks like a Targaryen, even though he's from the north. And I don't think there's any relations whatsoever to Targaryens. Which
I think he's
thought
just
was,
I think he's just an older dude.
he's just an older man,
Yeah, he
right?
looks older.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all we get. But I mean, yeah, the jousting was a very cool scene. I like the camera work was cool. They had like even the point of view of like one of the jousters. That was cool. But yeah, you gotta tell me the rules of this sport because just crazy. Like you
Yeah.
can't, if you're shooting a free throw in a basketball game, if you miss, you can't go, well, I'm gonna fight the bench to continue the game. Like, no, you either make the shot or not. Like you don't get to
Oh
like
my God.
One guy had already won. He had already won, and they dragged him off the horse, and then they
I
started
know.
beating the shit out of him.
Yeah.
This shit was
That
wild.
made no sense.
well, and also the tournament was supposed to last for a week. It seemed like it was pretty much over. Like,
You
In the
think?
same day?
It's like,
I mean, there were two guys left, right? Like,
it's like you win.
Also, the queen died, so tournament done.
what
But
did
it's
you say,
like you
Frank?
win. It's like you win, but you're not even safe. It's like, like what the? So what kind of shit is this, dog? It's like a fucking free fall.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
And also, like, aren't these like the toughest dudes in the realm? Like, and you're just
No,
wasting
So,
So here's the funny thing. So the queen, I can't. Was it Rhaenyra or
Rhaenys, I think.
Yeah, I think
Rhaenys.
Rhaenys said like most of them have never been in battle. They're just like
Right.
they're just guys who are just tough around
Right.
King's Landing, but they never actually seen like war. So
right.
But if something happens, you would think these dudes would
I'm like,
probably be
you
a
want to
part
have
of
him
the
as a
battle.
soldier, you know?
huh?
I said you would want to have your best soldiers as like soldiers, not die in a random battle.
Oh God.
John,
That's
it's a
why-
competition that has no rules. It makes no sense at all.
That's why you send out Daemon Targaryen, who pretty much lives for that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think you
Speaking
gotta-
of Daemon, go ahead.
No, I said you got to send in your third string soldiers
Your third string.
to go do these jousting events.
Oh my
It's like,
God.
send your best gold cloaks to the war. Oh, we can't, bro. Like 9 died last week in the jousting tournament.
Oh my God. Going back to Daemon real fast. So he's the commander of the City Watch, the Gold Cloaks, what have you. What did y'all take away from the fact that he just like commanded the whole City Watch to like slaughter these people in
I was
King's Landing?
I was so confused by that. So did these people do anything wrong? Like
Well,
like,
he said they were murderers, thieves. Like they somehow
Rapists.
knew what they did. It just seemed like he just went to anyone that was outside and said, "Hey, bro, you did this. I'm gonna cut your arm off,
bro,
or I'm
he's
gonna cut
cutting
your
off dicks and,
nutsack
like,
off."
yeah, he's cutting off dicks and raping. Like he told one guy to rape her. Like what? Like, do you know who she? Like who is this person? Like you just anybody who's outside the times.
That's what it seemed like.
Can get at this point. Like that's what I got from the.
I'm gonna take it as like they previously knew these people because he's like, he's a thief, and they cut off his hand or whatever. I don't know.
That was a melee, bro. That was a melee in the town corner.
I'll give Damon the
That's not
benefit of the
getting it.
doubt here.
That's what I got.
I'll give him the
Yeah.
benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, so earlier I said, I don't quite think he's Joffrey, but after rehashing this out, maybe just a wee little bit like Joffrey.
I think he was just thinning the field for the jousting tournament. He was
Oh,
just
Jesus
taking out
Christ.
people who might be jousters and just.
Oh my god.
This is why I think he's a fucking murderer. Because again, back to like the third counter scene when Viserys is like, I put him at Master of Corn, he drained us dry. I put him at this position, he fucked that up. I put him here, they're running him up. I think he just purposely just fucking up jobs because he wants to be king and he doesn't want to be pigeonholed in any one of these positions.
That or that the Hightower guy is the biggest hater in the 7 Kingdoms.
That's what I'm saying. Like the fact that he is this series Baelish, Baelish wanted everything. He wanted to take down the whole dynasty so that he could rule, and he wanted Sansa because he's sick, so it wouldn't surprise me at all about this Hightower. He's pimping out his own daughter to the now widowed king and say, put on one of your mother's dresses, and go sit with him.
Right.
Yeah. Big red flags.
Fucked up. So fucked up. I love this show, by the way.
That's some wild shit, bro. Like, I'm watching this shit and I'm slow. So like I had to watch it twice. I was like, nah. Ain't no fucking way ain't no fucking way he wants his daughter to seduce his king. I'm tripping. Yeah. I watched it the second time. I'm like, oh shit. He wants her to wear his late wife's dress as she goes into this man's bedchambers at night. The fuck? I thought it was tripping. I was like, ain't no fucking way. But yeah, that's what happened.
That's exactly
I mean, his plan, I think, is that Alicent marries the king. She becomes the queen. Then she gives the king an heir, a boy of their own. So now the Hightowers are in power along with
Yeah.
It's kind of like how the Marjorie Tyrell. I was about to say Martell, but Tyrells. Kind of think about how the Tyrells were in that fashion. Trying to get that foot through the door to be in power.
What a weird story, because Alicent is the friend / maybe lover of Rhaenyra. And then now she's going to be her stepmom. I'm sure she's going to be a stepmom in the future.
Yeah.
Like, how crazy is this?
Yeah, that's going to be crazy. So I think in addition to Princess Rhaenys, kind of maybe villain may not be the right word, but you get an adversary to Princess Rhaenyra. You're going to have to add that addition to Alicent, maybe possible stepmom to Princess Rhaenyra and Queen Consort. So that's going to be wild. Like, just to set it up that way, it's just going to be wild. I don't know.
Yeah, no doubt.
Question for y'all.
Okay.
There was a scene where the king is being examined. He's got like some kind of injury, some kind of sickness, something on his back.
Brittany, I thought of you.
God, why do you think of me?
You look like a pimple popper thing. I was like, I saw the pus coming out of it. I was like, Brittany must love this scene.
I hate you. No, I did not love it. No, but in all seriousness, what are y'all's guesses about what Viserys may have? If any guesses.
He stabbed himself and got it infected from that fucking throne.
That's what I think too. I think the mini swords cut him in the back and he never got it treated and not affected.
That'd be the funniest way to die. How'd you die? Oh, I stabbed he died from sitting on the throne.
On a throne of 1,000
you
swords.
saw him cut his finger again, right? Like there was a scene like he put his hand and then he's like
yeah.
And then he just I'm like, come on, man.
The Mad King was known for doing that too. The Mad King would like purposely cut himself on the throne.
Bro, that's probably why he went insane. He got all that iron in his blood and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was thinking initially, grayscale. I don't know how and why that would have been. But that makes more sense, obviously. Just an infection from having been cut from the Iron Throne, which makes a whole lot of sense. So it was just one of the questions I had written down here. I wanted to get y'all's take on it. So back to you, Justin.
Well, one thing that people love to talk about in Game of Thrones was the dragons, and it seems like we're gonna have a lot of dragons in this series in House of the Dragon. What did y'all think about the dragons that we saw in the first episode?
Man, HBO don't give a fuck about the budget, bro. We about to go in, baby. Checking all out, baby.
Listen, from all the money that they saved by not doing the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones and not even giving us 10 episodes of season 8, shit, they better be using up that budget to give us all the dragons. Okay,
yeah.
let's just be real.
The
Let's
fact
just
that
be
said
real.
10 dragons walking around this bitch in Westeros, I'm like, man, show me all 10 first episode. Fucking let's get it.
Oh my god.
So as
No,
we see, go ahead.
They look great. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they looked amazing.
Mhm.
Even Daemon's dragon too. He had a weird feet. Like I've never seen a dragon like that.
Craxus.
He had wings on his like legs. I thought that was interesting.
Oh, I didn't pay attention to that detail. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch.
Yeah, because like all of them look like lizards, but that one he has like wings on his legs, and I thought it was interesting.
All the dragon riders are pussies, dog. They're all pussies, bro. I'm gonna tell you why. Because so all those dragons had like actual
Saddles?
Huh?
Because they're using saddles.
Yeah, Daenerys didn't use no fucking saddle, dog. Ever, bro.
It seems like they got the comfort thing down. I don't know why Daenerys didn't do that.
They pussies, dog.
She forgot about it.
They soft, dog.
Clearly.
They're soft. Damon's, they all soft, bro. No saddle, dog. Raw dog that bitch, baby. Come on.
Oh my god. Terrible.
Man.
No, the dragons look cool. I love the color variations between Syrax and then Craxus. Craxus has that more red with like dark, I guess maybe even black or kind of color. It's a little bit opposite from Drogon. Drogon was more black and had those hints of red here and there, but Craxus seems more red. And then Syrax is kind of gold-ish, which I think was was it?
I like
Viserion?
Yeah, see, that's the thing that I like, that you can see the colors of the dragons, because when we would see Daenerys' dragons like all 3 in a row, I couldn't fucking tell which one was which.
I never could either.
The CGI we couldn't see them.
Allow it.
We couldn't see them during the Battle of Winterfell. We're like rooting for the wrong dragon, when they're fighting in the sky, like shit. Yeah, no, I get.
Was it the one that got turned to a zombie dragon? Was he?
That was the yellow.
That was the green one.
Or that was the green one.
Yeah, he was green.
That was the green one.
Yeah, Drogon was more black reddish.
Okay.
The other one I couldn't tell.
Oh no. Or was it? I don't remember. Honestly, no one cares. No, but the dragons, they look cool. I think to me, they look a lot like what George was saying, with more lizards. They seem to have like longer necks, and they're like a lot thinner compared to like Drogon. Although Drogon, I think, was supposed to be like purposefully larger than the others.
Yeah, he was a big boy.
He was a big boy. Also, he did not spend time in the catacombs like the other two did. So stunts your growth, right? But they look cool. I'm just happy to see dragons again. Like that. I mean, that's what makes Targaryens is the fact that they can, they're dragon riders, and they have some sort of connection to dragons. And on that note too. Oh, go ahead, George.
No, I was gonna say the bond with the dragons. I was like, how the job that these guys to get the dragons to go inside, how the fuck do they listen to them?
Because they listen to them in Valyrian. They all speak Valyrian.
Man, that's a hell of a job. I wonder how many people have to go through that shit, because I'm sure they probably just get eaten for no reason or something, right?
Probably. I mean, you saw that one dragon keeper who was like,
he looked
stepping too close, and he looked like he was about to shit his pants. But yeah, amongst the dragon keepers that were there, I mean, they're speaking Valyrian to the dragons. They understand and they abide. So, and that's the other thing I really was happy to see or hear in the show again was the Targaryens speaking High Valyrian, because when Daenerys and I was telling Justin this off screen, my favorite episode of Daenerys was when she gets the Unsullied in Astapor. She trades baby Drogon for the army, and then turns around and reveals her true self. She speaks Valyrian. She's the blood of old Valyria. Valyrian's her mother tongue. And the fact that you hear that language again, it completely made up language, but it sounds cool. And the exchange between Rhaenyra and that of Daemon, it's so eloquent. Like, it's so eloquent. I don't know. There was something about it amongst the two of them. It just sounded really, really cool. And I don't know. I'm just happy to hear that again.
I was happy to hear Dracarys again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Rhaenyra commands her dragon to burn the bodies of her mother and little brother, Balon, which we learn later that Daemon Targaryen, that later that evening, he at one of the pleasure palace or pleasure house or something, he has a party, and apparently he makes a toast to the heir for a day. Although they never show him saying that. So my question is, do y'all think he actually said that, or was that an Otto Hightower thing that was like kind of just took like something that Damon might say and then ran with it? Because he never says it, you know?
I feel like if he didn't say it, he would have said he didn't say it. He just he kind of reflected by saying, I kind of said, yeah.
He says we all mourn in our own way.
He sidestepped it. Yeah.
But my thing, if he didn't say it, he would have said, "Oh hell no, man! Who the fuck said that shit? No, I ain't said that shit." Like, he showed no type of like reaction to that of that accusation. So I think he said it.
Okay. Yeah, he kind of looked down, was like, we all mourn in different ways. Yeah. So he's omitting it entirely. He's admitting it by omitting it, I guess you could say. I would think he just doesn't care in a way, because he thought the tournament was for him, and that's why he showed up.
I don't think he wants to be king though. I think that I think he's a character, much like we mentioned the Dark Knight and the Joker. I think he's a character who just wants to watch the world burn in a certain way. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
so he is Joffrey.
No, I think he likes the chaos of things.
Chaos is a ladder.
That's right. God, no matter what I say, you're gonna
sorry
have some Game of Thrones response that I can't.
You know what? It's your fault. It's your fault that I got into Game of Thrones. Okay, and I was horribly disappointed by season 8. So thank you.
Well, but you like the other ones though. So.
That's true.
but no, Damon. So okay, let's say he did say this. So he thinks he's now the only heir, and he's not, because now for this reason, Viserys is now more motivated than ever to make Rhaenyra his chosen heir. And then not only does he make her the heir, and we have this big ceremony where all these other houses kind of have to pledge fealty to her and to Viserys. He also tells Rhaenyra about the Song of Ice and Fire, which is this secret. And my question to y'all, so the base of the secret is that and it's based on Aegon's dream, that in order for the world to survive in the future, a Targaryen has to be on the throne. Mm-hmm. But I don't understand why that's such a big secret for the whole realm, because the people in power always want to stay in power. So and it's based on a dream. You know what I'm saying? It seems kind of strange. It'd be like me saying I need to be in charge, because if I'm not in charge, then everything goes to shit. It's like, well, that's what you would say because you want to be in charge. But what does that have to do with someone else might be better at being in charge of whatever it is, I didn't really get that part. Frank, go for it.
It's the lore behind it. I for them, they have cachet only because prior to the doom, a young Targaryen girl in Valyria predicted the doom, and that's why they left Valyria before the doom happened. So they truly believe this only because of their history of them having dreams and shit coming to fruition. So with that being said, when Rhaenyra hears that, you see the look on her face like, oh shit, it's about to go down. But not knowing when. So I really believe that they do believe that because of what happened in the past prior to coming to
the doom,
Westeros.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just gonna say, with Targaryens, it seems like they lead based on their dreams, because with Daenerys, who had the dream about the doom of Valyria, that's why they all took off and left, and then the doom still happened, even though there's really not a real reason as to why it happened, other than it just did. No different than Aegon, who at Dragonstone looked across the sea and saw a land that could be conquered, but that was based on the fact that his dream had to do with the Song of Ice and Fire with the White Walkers. And so I think the significance and the difference is that I think Targaryens always thought that they were going to be in power, and there was never going to be an uprising against them. And that's why it was always king to heir, passing on that secret. And then when you don't have the Targaryens in power anymore, then that secret is no longer passed down and no one cares about it. No one thinks it's real. No one thinks of any importance behind it. That's why, Robert Baratheon never did anything. That's why no one ever did anything until that time came when Jon Snow went to Daenerys and said, I need your help with this. I need your armies. And look, there was a Targaryen, maybe not sitting on the Iron Throne, but there was a Targaryen ruler who helped end that I don't know what you want to call it, but when the dream came into fruition, she was there to see its end.
And another dream another Targaryen dream that happens in about 180 years later is Rhaegar's dream. Rhaegar's dream was, I'm going to conceive the prince I was promised. They didn't talk about that much in the show, but in the books, he has dreams about one of his seeds becoming Azor Ahai and ending the long night, which in the show version John did. So the Targaryens are like 2-0 right now, or 3-0 in dreams. So
yeah. So hopefully that kind of explains it a little bit better. I mean,
yeah, I just think that like whenever you've been the people in charge for a long time, like it seems like you would make up a story where you need to be in charge forever. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of what my perception of it. Because the Targaryens have been, how long have they been in charge when we start watching? Like
100 years.
Jaehaerys had been
100
there
years.
for 60 years, right? Or something.
So at this point now it's almost 110 years at this point almost.
But you know
by
what,
the time
to be honest, they don't need to say this dream out loud. They own dragons, bro. So
right.
they don't give a fuck
exactly.
About how
right.
About how you feel about me saying this dream for us to maintain power. Like they're untouchable. So that's why I say they really believe in this prophecy of coming to fruition of their Azor Ahai's coming to save the day.
Yeah and that's even briefly Daenerys back in Game of Thrones even briefly mentions about how her dreams, they come real. She dreamt about dragons coming back into Westeros, and then the birth of her children, came into fruition. So yeah, I think that a lot of what drives the Targaryens is based on their dreams, and that's how they rule, and that's just kind of what it is.
Yeah, I wonder because when we start this this show, we're in the 9th year of Viserys's reign, right? And I guess one of my last things is like, how long do we think this series is going to go? How many seasons? Because how long is his reign going to last? It doesn't seem like his reign is going to last too long.
Now, I think he's going to die by the end of the season. Like probably like in 2 episodes, something's going to die.
He's the Ned Stark of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I think he makes it to the end of the season or close to the end, but I don't think he goes.
I think he's going to die very soon.
Really? Okay.
Like, because you said something about the time jump, so I'm assuming that something's going to happen. He's going to be dead. But
I think he's going to be a part of the time jump. From watching the like what's coming next, it looks like he's got several things in the future. Now,
let's
not
hope
the distant future.
Yeah, it's true.
But what do y'all think for the seasons? How many seasons is this show going to go?
I think the sweet spot now is 5 seasons for a lot of different shows. I mean, Game of Thrones, of course, should have had 10.
Yeah, that's what I say. Do you think there's enough story for 5 seasons?
See, I don't know.
One book.
It's one book, but there's a lot of lore. There's a lot of, Frankel.
I say a solid 3 seasons.
3
is what they'll get out of it.
I could see that.
I think 3 as well.
I could see that for sure.
Yeah,
sure. Either way, they have material. I think with Miguel Sapochnik, who is directing, I don't know if he's directing all the episodes, but he had some really pivotal episodes in Game of Thrones. So I think like with him in the driver's seat, along with the showrunner, I think they're gonna be okay. It's gonna run well.
So how many episodes are we getting this season? Are we getting like 8 or
10?
It's 10 episodes.
Well, it is 10? Okay.
Yeah. So if they go week to week until from yesterday until the end of it, the finale should be October 23rd. If there's no breaks or anything, which usually Game of Thrones doesn't have a break. They usually go 10 straight weeks. So that'll be fun to kind of do this week after week. And also like Brittany, you mentioned how this episode began with a narration scene. I feel like in episode 2, we're going to get a opening credits musical scene.
We are. We are. We're bringing back the
Do y'all
epic.
do y'all
theme
think we're
intro.
getting the same theme? Because the theme was played in this episode.
Yeah. So it sounded different in the beginning, and then towards the
yeah.
end, it sounded like the
Right.
old one.
Right.
So
I think they're gonna use it as kind of like your foundation, but they've got to tweak it that way it's recognizable to solely for House of the Dragon. You
Yeah.
can differentiate the two themes. But
Believe
I'm
it.
excited to hear the new theme, see the new opening credits. I'm just excited overall for that.
Mhm.
But I do have some Easter eggs for you guys. I wanted to see if you guys picked up on any of this. Talked already about the Great Council at the beginning of this series was similar to that at the end of Game of Thrones. The Valyrian steel swords. We've got Valyrian steel back, which is awesome. We have Dark Sister, which is Daemon's sword, and then we have Blackfire, which I believe is King Viserys' sword. There's the little tease of another show that's in the works, and what I'm referring to is the story of Nymeria that Frank talked about with her travels and things like that. So that's actually an HBO show that's coming in the future, supposedly. So we'll see if that actually does come into fruition. The house sigils, of course, we know many of the house sigils from Game of Thrones. We saw a bunch of those during the tournament. The very fact too that an Arryn from the Vale, as I said, Queen Emma is an Arryn. She dies in the first episode, much like how Jon Arryn dies in the first episode of Game of Thrones. So I thought that was kind of a cool thing. There's also a line from the Feast of Crows when they're having the small council after the funeral, and you know, Viserys he just had enough. He didn't want to hear about anyone's shit anymore. He's like, I will not have, Feast of Crows on, corpse and whatever he said. So I thought I haven't read that book, Frank. I know you've read Feast of Crows. I know you've read all the books. The fact that we got to see Balerion's skull again, because that's a big ass dragon skull. Thought that was amazing. Very cool. Did y'all pick up on the cat's paw dagger when Viserys is telling Rhaenyra about?
Littlefinger gave to Arya, or what Arya killed the Night King with?
Exactly.
That was that thing, right?
That's the same dagger?
That's the same cat's paw dagger.
I missed it. I didn't notice it.
Yeah,
Yep,
I saw that.
Yep, the same dagger that was supposedly used to kill Bran, that got passed on to Bran, funny enough, and then went to Arya to kill the Night King.
Holy shit! Okay, damn, I saw random ass dagger.
Nope, that's why I think that's why it was so significant. Just have the camera. He held on to it, and then the last thing, the promise me. The real importance on promise me, Rhaenyra, you're going to carry the secret. Promise me, much like how Lyanna Stark said to Ned, promise me, you won't tell anyone who he really is, referring to Jon Snow. So those little Easter eggs that are very much related to Game of Thrones, I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Jon Snow, crazy as fuck, bro. Shit.
Yes. Oh, and Drew has a question. Does Ramin Djawadi, we got you, it's fine, doing the music? Yes, of course. They brought back the phenomenal composer Ramin Djawadi to do all the score for House of the Dragon.
Yeah, I mean, this show looks, sounds, and feels like Game of Thrones. We're right back in it. It's just now.
Yeah, it does.
And, it's like, to me, this, much like Game of Thrones, where like, there's a lot of talk about the Iron Throne. Ultimately, the Iron Throne isn't going to mean as much. It's more about the characters and what happens in the middle, I think. I don't know. I thought it was a pretty solid start for this show. And I'll just go around the room. What are y'all's like kind of final thoughts on the first episode? Go to George first. What are you thinking for the final, or for your final thoughts?
Solid episode. Excited to see where it goes. Like Frank said, the only concern is that time jump thing. I just hope they do everything the right way, which I think they will. But I'm excited. Actually excited.
Brittany, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, pretty much echoing what George said. I'm curious and a little concerned about the time jumping back and forth, how much of it will be done. I just also hope to see actual story and character development and not be rushed and not, just go off the deep end without any real explanation, you know. So, but so far, what we've been given, I'm looking forward to the rest of the season for sure. Frank.
I'm ready, bro. I'm ready, dog. Like I like it's gonna be fun. Like I've been reading for years Targaryen on paper. So like to see all these Targaryens and their temperament, how they go about things, and you know, in this show from this perspective, it's gonna be super, super dope. I can't wait to see. They did a great job this first episode. We'll see where we go from there. But I'm excited for what the future has for HOTD.
That hot D. I mean, you know what? At this point, you know, I'm not ashamed to say I like the hot D. It's a good show.
Me too, Justin. Me too.
Oh, bro.
Hey, I think two things we learned. We all like the hot D, and the dragon's got that stank.
Oh my God. Get out. Get out.
The dragons apparently smell horrible, which, I mean, to me, that shouldn't be surprising, but I was like, oh, I never thought about that. Like, if you're riding a sheep or a goat, I got you. But like a dragon is a majestic beast. You don't think it would smell bad, but I don't know, man.
Oh, man.
Also, something else I learned, I was watching some of the extra stuff. The guy that played King Jaehaerys, he was the actor who played Bib Fortuna in Return of the Jedi. So he was Jabba the Hutt's right-hand man. So
that's hilarious.
I thought that was kind of crazy, but
that's hilarious.
Yeah, to me, like all this show is missing is like the awesome theme song from Game of Thrones. Like if they could just, I don't care, run it back. Same thing from Game of Thrones. That's all I want, because that theme song on Sunday nights, I just get so excited when that starts playing. You know, the episode's starting.
Peter Dinklage, Peter Dinklage, Peter Dinklage. Sorry.
So Brittany, if people want to talk about Hot D or find us on social media, how can they do that?
Oh my God.
How can people find some Hot D on social media, Brittany? Can you let us know?
Since I'm the only one that doesn't have Hot D here. Anyway, you can Craigslist. You can follow the Watchers in the Basement.
Sorry, I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay, I'm just gonna say it right now, y'all. If you haven't tuned into the Watchers before, this is pretty much how it is, like a lot of the time. So if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, because we are on the road to 100 subscribers. Last I checked, we had about 81 subscribers. Let's keep those numbers climbing, y'all. Okay, like let's make this happen. All right. You can follow us here on YouTube, but also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Simply search for the Watchers in the Basement. Also, spread the word about us by using hashtag Watchers Basement on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Again, we're trying to reach 100 YouTube subscribers. Help make that happen. And also, if you're not into video podcasts, that's totally fine. We are also available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts, thanks to anchor.fm. Please give us a 5-star rating, and it would help us so much if you would do that. And back to you, Justin.
Thank you, Brittany. You're very professional with that. way better.
Listen, I got Hot D on my mind, and it took a while to get through that.
Well, you know, with Game of Thrones back, we're going to be serving up Hot D every week for until October 23rd at least. So buckle up, get ready. We're back in Westeros. I'm excited.
We are. Also, real fast before we head out, Justin, I do want to give a shout out to all those in the live chat today. Drew, our friend in the North, Nick, friends from the UK. Appreciate you being here. And we also had someone new joining us today, JF29 Super Fortress. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate your thoughts and everything else. Don't forget to like this video. It helps out our channel as well.
Yes, it does. Thanks, Brittany. So for Brittany, for George, and Frank, this is Justin saying we'll see you next week when we will discuss episode 2 of House of the Dragon. See you then.